It's time for Recipe of the Day. We are really in the holiday season. Thanksgiving is this week. And then, of course, Christmas is coming up and all sorts of other celebrations and parties and potlucks and exciting times. You need to have the perfect dip to take to a party or to have at your own party or just to snack on because it's Saturday, like watch a movie and eat some beer cheese dip. That's what I'm talking about today. Beer cheese is so easy to make and you can adapt it in a bunch of different ways depending on what you're doing. So I'm going to tell you today the basic, easy beer cheese recipe that I love. I make it all the time for like potluck kind of things when people are coming over, and I put it in a small slow cooker to stay warm, or if I make a big batch in the Instant Pot to stay warm with like a whole bunch of pretzel bites or buns or baguettes, chips, veggies even are great. Cauliflower. I love cold, crunchy cauliflower dipped in beer cheese. Delicious. All of that can be around it, and it's just everybody loves it, so it's always a good thing to make. Okay, first how to make beer cheese and then some delicious variations. So what you're going to do is melt 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter over medium heat in a medium saucepan. Once it's melted, you're going to whisk in 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Then I like to take it off of the heat when I start adding the liquid. When you're doing any kind of gravy or sauce where you're adding some kind of liquid to that roux, that paste of butter and flour that you made, it can clump up, especially if it's overheat because it starts kind of cooking as soon as you're adding it. So just to make it easier, especially if you've never done this kind of thing before, take it off the heat and then you're going to slowly drizzle in 3/4 cup of milk, just a little bit of it at a time, whisking in between to keep it smooth all the time. So kind of like 1/4 cup, whisk until smooth, 1/4 cup, whisk until smooth, and then the third 1/4 cup, whisk until smooth. And then you're adding in a 1/2 cup of beer. What kind of beer depends a bit on your preference. I would definitely stay away from anything really strong tasting. You don't want like a peanut butter stout or like a really fruity sour beer. I don't really like an IPA in here either. It's a little bit too bitter. My favorites are ales and lagers, dark or light. And if you really want to know if it's going to taste good, what you can do is take a sip of the beer and have a little bit of the cheese you're planning to use and see if they go together nicely. If they go together, you are on the right track. If they clash, don't use that combination, right? Okay, so you are stirring in that 1/2 cup of beer along with a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and also optionally 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Just a tiny little bit of heat there. Okay, then you can put that saucepan back over medium heat, and you're going to stir and cook until it's nice and thick and bubbling. So stir it the whole time. I like to even just use my whisk or a nice metal spoon that's really scraping the bottom of the pot so that nothing is sticking down there, which can risk burning at the bottom. And then you get like a bitter burnt flavor to your whole dip. You don't want that. So once it's thick and bubbling, about 2 to 3 minutes, take it off the heat. And then you're going to add in 3 cups of shredded, extra sharp cheddar cheese, 1 big handful at a time. And you whisk after each handful, melting it into that hot sauce that you've got there. That's really it. Once that cheese is melted in, you're done. You can taste it. You can add more garlic powder, more salt, more cayenne if you'd like. And then you just start dipping your pretzel buns into there. Like I said, you can transfer this to a slow cooker on the keep warm setting, and that works really, really well. And I'll also tell you, like, if you have leftovers of this, you're never going to have leftovers of this. But if you do, or if you're making it ahead and it's in the fridge and it's cold, you can totally reheat this. You can reheat it in the slow cooker. You can do it in a microwave. Just put it in a microwave safe dish for 30 seconds at a time, stirring after each round. That'll keep it nice and smooth also. Okay, for variations, you can change the liquid and you can change the cheese, right? So instead of beer, you can use a wine. You can use a little bit of kirsch. That's like a cherryish flavored kind of brandy that's often used in fondues. You can use Prosecco. One of my favorites is actually to use like an inexpensive but dry Prosecco in for the beer and then use Swiss cheese instead of the cheddar cheese. And you just get this beautiful like champagne and Swiss going on, really tasty. You can add some Parmesan cheese to that and do a little bit of tomato sauce instead of the beer. You get like an Italian inspired kind of of thing going on. You can do anything you can imagine. Just change out the beer for a different kind of alcohol and change out the cheese, and you get different flavor profiles. Now, if you don't want to use any alcohol, you absolutely can do this as well. What I like to do is to use vegetable stock instead of the beer. You could do chicken stock, that would be fine too. And then mix a few tablespoons of apple juice into that stock. It adds a really nice round sweetness, and apple juice has a little bit of acidity too, so kind of like the beer. And of course, apple and cheddar goes together really well. The idea is not to really taste the apple, so you want to mix up your stock, add a little bit of juice, taste it. It should just have a tiny bit of fruitiness to it. That is going to be perfect and a nice thing to do instead of the beer if you don't want to use that. I will put the link to this recipe in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and get it there, or find it in our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/recipeotd. And hey, just a quick note. I'm on a recording hiatus right now, so for the next little while, I'm replaying episodes from the archives, including this one. If you heard me mention a holiday, a season, or something going on in my life that seemed a bit off, that's why. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you're enjoying these older episodes. I am Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, cookfor2.us, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great day. Let's get cooking.